Hi, I'm Joe Hage. I am the leader of the medical devices group on LinkedIn, which, as of this recording, has 285,000 members worldwide, and I am privileged to be the host of this next session at WBBA-TV. Welcome all you in TV land. I am here with Lynn Rose. She is the Director of Scientific Administration at the Benaroya Research Institute at Virginia Mason.
Hello.
Hello, Lynn.
Nice to meet you.
Now, I'm a musician.
Yes.
Not by trade, I assure you. So I know Benaroya Music Hall. You are at the Benaroya Research Institute. I'm suspecting that's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. It's the same family that has supported both institutions. But we often have people coming looking for the symphony.
For the tickets?
Yes, for the tickets.
Now, you were telling me off camera that a member of the Benaroya family had a son
Yes.
that suffers from
Type 1 diabetes.
And is that part of your charter at all?
Yes, it's a major charter of Benaroya Research Institute. One of our lead scientists is the director of an organization called TrialNet, and that's an international organization aimed at studying the causes of and eradicating, hopefully, Type 1 diabetes.
Okay. So for our audience at home, what would you say is the overarching direction for BRI? And how do you interact with Virginia Mason, which is headquartered here in Seattle?
Sure. Benaroya Research Institute is an independent organization, but falls under the umbrella of the Virginia Mason Health System. In that relationship, we work very closely with the hospital at Virginia Mason. We actually provide all of the support for their clinical research program. So all of the physicians at Virginia Mason who conduct clinical research studies in partnership with pharmaceutical companies are supported by Benaroya Research Institute staff. We provide the coordinators and the infrastructure to do clinical research studies at Virginia Mason. Virginia Mason is also a very important partner in our biorepositories. We have biorepositories, meaning tissue, and blood sample repositories for every autoimmune disease that we study.
And how many is that?
About 12.
Okay.
We study the immune system at BRI. The principle is that the immune dysfunction in a lot of autoimmune diseases is very similar, and if you understand what's happening in one of them, you probably understand what's happening in more than one of them.
I see.
And so these repositories are incredibly important in understanding the similarities and the differences between those autoimmune diseases.
So help me understand. You said the repositories are tissue banks,
Yes.
if I understand correctly. I'm thinking, I hear so much about data being collected, putting in the cloud, analyzing this and that. How long has this been going on? How rich is this database? And can you help us understand a bit, how do you do what you do? How do you analyze that data?
The data analysis is a very important part of what we do. We're constantly improving that and working on it. I think you can imagine we have, I think, over 30,000 samples in the repository from a large variety of diseases. We're constantly refining the assays that we run on those samples.
Does that mean that there were 30,000 patients at one time?
I can't remember if there are 30,000 patients. There are 30,000 samples from probably a third that number of actual patients, given the number of diseases that we're covering.
All of whom had a disease, I
All
suppose.
of whom, well, no, some of them are healthy controls that we need for the assays. So the assays, these tests that we're running on those samples are constantly being improved. They require a lot of data storage. So we are looking at big data, and we're trying to understand how to look at that data across a number of diseases and longitudinal samples of the same patient. So.
Okay. Tell me, how many employees are at the Institute?
There's approximately 275 employees at the Institute, and a large number of volunteers. We have at least 50 volunteers, student interns, graduate students that are coming in to do various research projects.
Okay.
So the number swells.
On their way to their PhD, I suppose.
Yes, on their way to their PhD.
Now, you mentioned that you are focused exclusively in the autoimmune world. Is that right?
Yes.
Are there other bodies out there not associated with you, not associated with Virginia Mason, that are doing similar work? And if so, how, if at all, do you collaborate and share your information with them?
There are a lot of institutions, and particularly pharmaceutical companies, that are working in those diseases under the same principle that if you understand the immune dysfunction in one, it may be applicable to another. I don't think there's another institute in the United States that is focused solely on autoimmune diseases and the immune system dysfunctions that are occurring. We're pretty unique in that respect.
Would you say, or is it a fair characterization to say that anyone working on a therapy in that space knows you and wants to get their hands on your research? Do they see you as an extension, a free, perhaps, extension of their own workforce somehow?
I wouldn't say, did you say a free extension?
Well, I don't know how it works, because you're a not-for-profit.
We're a not-for-profit.
And it's a Benaroya family foundation.
Well, no, that's not correct. The Benaroya family provided some of the funds for the Research Institute building, but the majority of funding for Benaroya Research Institute scientists comes from the National Institutes of Health. I believe it's about 75% of our funding comes from NIH. The rest comes from foundations, other non-for-profits. Most of the scientists there are on soft money, meaning they have to get out there and get grants and continue to be leaders in the scientific field. So we have no internal foundation to maintain the Research Institute.
Okay. Can you help me understand, is there an end point to the work? Is it when we've solved all autoimmune disease questions, or are there milestones that folks who are looking on can say, check, check, check?
Well, the underlying research at Benaroya Research Institute is on the immune system itself, and it's a very complicated system. We focus on that, and we think that the research that comes out of that will be applicable to a number of autoimmune diseases. I'm not sure we would close up shop if an autoimmune disease was cured, but certainly it would be a goal of ours to cure autoimmune disease.
It would help those watching. Who should call you? What would be the type of person, what role, what are they doing that would be, oh my God, I'm really glad I watched that interview with Lynn, give me her number, I need to call her and talk to her about what project?
I think any organization that's developing therapeutics that interfere with some part of the immune system should call us. We have scientists that are extremely informed about different functions of cells within the immune system, and if you really want to know what your therapeutic is doing to the immune system, you should call Benaroya Research Institute.
So to wrap up, I'm a scientist.
Yes.
I'm working on these disease states. How aware is that community about BRI at Virginia Mason?
I think the world is very aware of Benaroya Research Institute. As I mentioned earlier, we are providing the leadership for the TrialNet for type 1 diabetes. We are also providing the leadership in Dr. Jerry Nepom for the Immune Tolerance Network, which is an international effort to study all immune-based diseases. So we have a lot of power and force, I guess, in the community when it comes to autoimmune disease and allergy.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is Joe Hage. I've been talking with Lynn Rose, the Director of Scientific Administration for Benaroya Research Institute at Virginia Mason. And if you are a scientist and you are working on autoimmune diseases, Lynn Rose is the person to reach. Thank you very much for WBBA-TV.